Hi everyone, and welcome to another Sims 4 speed build. So today I'm making a Charleston Single house, which is a kind of house that can be found in Charleston, South Carolina, obviously. So what makes this house special is that rather than having the front door off the street like most houses are, it's actually on the side of the house that's perpendicular to the street. So you can see me trying to put in the front door of the house here. And you end up with this really long piazza along this side of the house as well, which is basically like a porch, so I'm putting that in as well. And then facing the street, you have a fake front door, which looks like it would be the actual front door to the house, but it's really just kind of like a screen to give the piazza some privacy. But where the style of house gets its name from is the interior layout, because usually there's a staircase in front of you when you walk into the front door, and then on either side of the staircase is one room, so you'll usually only have 2 rooms per level. So with this house, there's a living room on one side of the staircase and then the kitchen on the other side. Then you go upstairs and there's a bedroom on one side and a bedroom on the other side. It's kind of like that on the 3rd floor as well, although it wasn't exactly like that because I think when these houses were originally built, there wasn't indoor plumbing, so you didn't have stuff like bathrooms. So I had to put that stuff in. So it's not exactly that same kind of deal, but I just imagined that this was, of course, a really old home that was renovated. I mean, to have what it has in it, that would have to be the case. And I also put an addition in the back that I used as a dining room because originally these homes had a separate, like if they had a kitchen, it would be like in a separate building out behind the house. And then like what was the kitchen in this house I think would have originally been the dining room in, you know, like a real Charleston Single house. And the reason I am building this house is because I recently watched the season of This Old House, or may not have been like a whole season, but like the part of the season where they were in Charleston renovating a couple of homes, and one of them was, of course, a Charleston Single house, and I never heard of this style of home before, and I just thought it was really cool, and I wanted to try to recreate it in this game, which I figured would be pretty easy because it's a very simple house. I mean, it's basically a rectangle, so it's kind of worried it really wouldn't turn out looking very interesting, but I'm really happy with how it came out in the end. I had so much fun working on this house, and the house they had in that series or in that show it was like a whole like 2-floor house out behind the back, but I tried doing that and it didn't really look right because I had on the medium walls for both levels. Like I think it would have looked better if I was able to make the building out back that was the kitchen originally have shorter ceiling heights, but I couldn't do that. So I just made it kind of like something that, like just a dining room addition that was tacked onto the back of the house so they could have both a kitchen and a separate dining room. But that was actually my first time really watching This Old House because I had heard of it because my fiance watches This Old House and he would watch like HD TV shows with me from time to time because I talked about how I watched those before, and he would always just say, you know, if you watch these, you should really watch This Old House because this is just like garbage reality TV compared to This Old House. You know, in This Old House, they actually like teach you more things and it's like a slower process, but I'm impatient sometimes, so it's like the nice thing about the HD TV shows is that you can see the house from start to finish in like one TV show, but of course because they do it so fast, you miss out on a lot of the details. But I finally ended up watching This Old House with him because he'd been trying to get me to watch it with him for a while because he, you know, of course kept saying how it was so much better than the HD TV shows. And it was really good. Like, I'm glad I finally gave it a chance because it is from, like, in case you haven't heard of it, it is on PBS, you know, rather than HGTV, and it's just refreshing. It's nice because, like, I think the like season or whatever where they're in Charleston, it was like 10 episodes or something along those lines, so they were working on another house as well, but I didn't find that one as interesting as this one. But over the course of 10 episodes, they were working on this house and you got to see a lot more into the detail of the work they were doing. Like David explained the historical preservation that they were doing at the house and like the laws that were in place that made it so you couldn't make certain changes with it. And I just found it really fascinating because, as I said, when you have those HGTV shows where it's like they're doing everything in like 45 minutes, you miss out on a lot of those details and they tend to focus on like more of the spectacle and the drama. I mean, some shows are better than others about it. Like I did watch, I think it was like Good Bones recently, and that one I think was a little bit more informative than the other ones, but definitely not like how This Old House is, where you actually just learn, like, and not just necessarily about preservation, like you actually learn about like taking care of stuff in your house and fix the things. Like they'll just set aside time to like talk about those things. So it definitely is really useful and is a lot more fulfilling to watch than those other shows are. Yeah, so if you're into those home renovation type shows and you haven't heard of This Old House, then I recommend that you check it out. It is really cool. Like it's just refreshing because it's like different though because it's less polished, but I don't mean that in a bad way. It's just less, like I said, like less focusing on the spectacle, and like not everyone on the show is like a trained media personality, so it's just kind of got like a different feel to it. Which is just it's really nice. It's just very relaxing to watch, and you don't really get as much of that like, oh, there's mold in this house. Who would have thought a 50-year-old house that's been abandoned would have mold in it? You know, so you don't get all of that kind of stuff. Like they're a little bit more like, oh yeah, there's mold. Like this sucks, but we know how to deal with it. So that's just a really nice thing. So anyway, we've got like the whole structure of the house finished. We got all of the wallpaper and windows and everything in place. So I was just putting some ivy along the side to kind of separate the parts that had the different brick on them, because I did use a different brick on the addition, but of course, the house is just like a straight line down the side, so I wasn't really able to have like a bump out or that kind of a deal to separate the different bricks. So I just figured that having some ivy in between it would be a really good way to give it that separation. And like usually I don't like having houses that are just a straight line down one side, because I feel like it's not very interesting to look at. But I think with this house it looks really good. So I'm just very happy with that. And also that wrought iron gate from Vampires just looks really, really good in this house, because in the house on This Old House, they made this really beautiful wrought iron gate for it, and it's like there's some building college nearby, and they like went to the college and stuff, and kind of like I'm guessing there's like some kind of sponsorship thing in place, but it's still really cool to hear about, and they like show the process of making the gate, which I found really fascinating. Like I just find all of that stuff, like the how things are made kind of stuff, super duper fascinating. So I don't know, I'm sorry, like I keep gushing about that show, but yeah, I'm glad my fiance finally talked me into watching that, because like he had watched it before, but I always catch him like kind of in the middle of the season, and then I didn't want to join at that point, but I finally caught him right as he was beginning, because like I was watching like where they're going through the house. I was like, oh, this is really cool, like, you know, I'll watch this one, I'll give it a chance. So anyway, enough about that. I also fit this little pool in here because the one in the show also had a pool that they crammed into the backyard, which I like I thought that was just a nice touch to make it feel luxurious. And then we've got this driveway as you come into the yard here. I was gonna size up a car toy and put it in here, but I just didn't really like how it looked, so I just left it empty. And you could probably fit something on there if you want. Like you could just stick a hot tub in the middle of it if you wanted to like stick something else in the yard, although that probably wouldn't look that good because the yard is pretty full. Like it's just this very landscaped yard, but I thought that suited the house and how it's kind of in the middle of like a commercial area. Like I just thought that looked a lot better than just having, you know, all grass. And then from pictures I was looking at of Charleston Single houses, a lot of them have these very landscaped yards, so I want to do that as well and just try and make it look very nice and upscale and just fit lots of different little things. So there ends up being like a dining area and then of course the pool area. And I did build it in the commercial area of Willow Creek because this just of course seemed like a kind of house that needed to be in a more commercial area. Like it would stick out like a sore thumb if I had stuck it in one of the more suburban residential areas. And Willow Creek is just the perfect role for this house because I feel like it kind of has that southern sort of style to it. Like I think it was New Orleans inspired, which isn't quite South Carolina, but it still like just really fits in with the rest of the builds that are in this area and also the fake backdrop houses that are across the street. So this is just a really good spot for it. And it probably would have worked well to put it on the 20 by 40 lot in Newcrest because I was wishing I had like more length, like more depth in the yard as I was building this, but I wanted it to be on a 30 by 20 lot so you weren't stuck with putting it in only one spot. So that way you could stick it wherever you want because that lot is like, I haven't built on that lot yet, but the reason I don't is because that's the only 20 by 40 lot in the game. So if you build something there, you're kind of stuck only using that on that lot. And I would like to do more or make more houses that are in these kind of specific local styles. So if any of you know of any styles that are kind of like the Charleston Single, then let me know because I'd love to look into some different styles and use that as inspiration for future builds. I mean, obviously, I'm like if a bunch of people suggest things, I'm not gonna be able to do all of them, but I just would like to know like what kinds of really specific styles you will know of, because I love to learn about some new kinds of houses that I'm not familiar with, because when I build, it's usually like really well-known styles like craftsman or like suburban and that, or modern, you know, that kind of a deal. Like I don't really get into styles like this, but that's something I want to do a bit more of. So yeah, if you have any that you know, just let me know in the comments. But I think we are getting pretty close to being finished with the yard. So right now I'm just getting in these quote-unquote lawn chairs that are, or lounge chairs that aren't really lounge chairs, but you know, just kind of like the fake lounge chairs you can do by combining the ottoman with the chairs. And that's something I'm really hoping for. Like it would have been cool to have lounge chairs with seasons. Like I feel that would have been such a good expansion pack for that, but well, for whatever reason they didn't. Like like with summer and all, like just imagine lounging by the pool, so that would have been perfect. But at least for the time being, we could just make our own fake lounge chairs. You know, at least we got that. Yeah, so we're just adding in the lights right here. And with that, I think we'll be shortly done with the yard. I just gotta put some furniture on the piazzas. Or the piazza, I don't think it's a plural thing. Oh, another thing I did with this house that I thought was cool was that, as you might have seen, I put skylights up above the 3rd level of the house, which probably isn't something you realistically could do, because in the show they're talking about how there are historical preservation societies in Charleston or something along those lines. Like, I'm not sure if that's the case in every neighborhood where there are these homes, but I'd imagine that those kinds of societies probably wouldn't be cool with you putting big skylights on the roof of these houses, or maybe they would. I'm not sure, but either way, I just thought that'd be something kind of cool to modernize the house and make the upper level feel a little bit more luxurious, because the upper level of this house is basically just a large master suite, because I just wanted it to feel really luxurious, and the top level is shorter than the lower 2 levels, so it doesn't have that majestic feel of the high ceilings, I guess. So I just wanted to make it feel more luxurious because it didn't have that. So I thought that the skylights were something to kind of make up for that and make it feel a little bit more open. But we are working on the living room here, and originally I was going to go with this wallpaper from Vampires, but I ended up changing it to this yellow striped wallpaper, which I just thought looked so much better, because I was trying to like mess around with the curtains and make it so I felt happier with it, because something just felt a little off. But when I made this change here, it just felt a lot better, and it also felt a lot warmer. I think that's why I didn't really like the wallpaper, because it was gray and it just didn't feel warm and cozy. I felt like the paneling was something that would really fit in well with this house. And with this house, like with the look of the interior, I was trying to go for just that mix of modern and traditional that I like to do, like where you have some callbacks to the house being an older one and some more traditional furniture, but then other parts of it feel more up to date and more brought into this century. Because that's like what they did with the show, where they had like a more modern kitchen, and then they had some more traditional furniture throughout the house. But something they did was that they made the walls in the living room all brick, like they exposed all of the brick, but I didn't quite like the look of that for this house, you know, for the living room but I did do that in the kitchen. So a lot of the walls of the kitchen, except for the one that's on the, you know, beside the staircase, are brick, because I figured like the brick's on the outside of the house, it wouldn't really make a ton of sense to have it exposed on the inside of it, because I think usually that's like plaster over shiplap, so you wouldn't really have brick there unless you put it. So on that wall, I ended up just using a tile, but I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. We're still in the living room, I'm already talking about the kitchen, but I did leave some exposed brick walls upstairs, so you'll see that as we move on. And this house, of course, wasn't supposed to be like an exact recreation of the house I was in the show. It was more so just kind of inspired by it. So I did use green shutters like the house in the show, because I thought that was really cool. Although in the show I think they were more of like a Christmas kind of a green, but the Christmas green shutters in this game were like the windows and everything. Like the window frame itself was all green too, and just the whole window was green, which I didn't really like. So I just used these ones instead, where there's a little bit of white in the center. But we are onto the kitchen now, so as you can see, I'm just putting a different kind of wall on the wall that's beside the staircase, although that did go through some changes. So I changed it to like the plaster brick type wall. Didn't really like that, so then I ended up going back to this tile later, and I was going to use these brown cabinets, but I realized that was like a little bit too dark. Why am I saying the wrong thing? So it was a little bit too dark, because we got the brick, you know, we got the dark brick on the walls, we got the dark wood on the floors, although that ends up changing later. And I remember how on the show they're talking about how the owners shouldn't go with dark cabinets, because all of the, like, they should go with lighter ones, because like the brick, because they put it, the brick was going to soak up all of the light in the room, so they needed some lighter colors to make it feel a little bit brighter. So I remember that and then went with these instead, which I actually don't think I've used. Like, I've never used these counters that came with, I think it was vampires. I think part of the reason is because they only have like 3 color swatches, which is really disappointing because they're really pretty, but they unfortunately just don't have a whole lot of colors with them. So it's very hard to make them fit into a house, but they worked in this house pretty well. Oh, and they did this really cool thing in the house on the show where the stove was. They created this kind of like custom hood for the stove because originally, I think I said this before, originally the room that they ended up making the kitchen was a dining room and had this fireplace in it. So what they did was they took the sill off the fireplace and then took away some of the brick and then turned it into a hood range for the stove. So they had the stove under what was originally the chimney for the fireplace and then stuck the range hood in there and then had it so it vented up out the chimney, which was really cool. Like, it just looked really, really beautiful. I wish I could do something like that in this game, but unfortunately I couldn't. I really, really wish I could though, because it was gorgeous, but I can't imagine any way that I could do that. I guess I could have at least done something more interesting with, like, instead of using the more modern range hood I use, I guess I could have taken the more traditional one, like sized it up so it looked a little bit bigger, but I don't know how that would look. So maybe that wouldn't be a good idea. And then now I'm just adding in some pet stuff here to fill in the rest of the kitchen. And I didn't really add in like full on everything you would need to have pets. Like, I didn't add a whole lot of cat beds. Or pet beds. There's no cat trees. There's no toys. So if you want to have pets, then you can just add in those things. And I guess if you don't want to have pets in here, it's very easy to remove what's in here because there's not really much. I did stick a litter box upstairs, so there is one of those. But yeah, so there's more things added in. I find that's like getting kind of hard to like remember to make the house suitable or, you know, like pet friendly and laundry friendly and everything friendly. So there's some things that I'm starting to leave out. Although I did add laundry to this house. Like, that's the room where the litter box is. But we're onto the dining room, which is one of my favorite rooms in this house. I just absolutely love how it turned out, like with all the brick in it, and it just looks gorgeous. I just love exposed brick. And I also used the floors that came with Jungle Adventure because I really wanted to have the look that they were really old, like possibly original floors that they refinished and all of that. So I just wanted them to have this like very old look to them. And I haven't used that wood floor as much as I would like because it's gorgeous, but I found it kind of hard to find houses that it fits into. I think the dining room might be my favorite room in this old house. Like, I can't say enough like how happy I am with how it turned out. So we are done with the whole first floor of the house, and now we're on to the second floor, which has 2 bedrooms. One of them is a bedroom for 2 child sims, and then the other bedroom is a teen bedroom. Then there is, of course, a bathroom up here. So yeah, that's really all there is to it. But I like how the bedrooms in this house turned out. So we're just starting off with decorating this hallway type area at the top of the stairs, and I thought for a brief second about adding a brick wall onto one of the walls of this hallway type area, but for some reason it just looks off to me trying to mix this wallpaper with bricks, so I ended up not doing that. I also tried to do that briefly in some of the bathrooms, but I also didn't think that the tiles mixed well in there. I'm not sure why I thought that though, because I did that in the kitchen and it looked fine to me, but that might have been because I had counters covering up the paneling, so I don't know if that's what made it look a little bit better to me, but yeah, it just looked weird in the bathrooms for whatever reason. But there's not really a whole lot going on in this area. We just got some paintings, some sconce type lights, and a little table with a lamp on it, and that's about it. There unfortunately wasn't a whole lot of space to decorate that, or maybe fortunately, I don't know. Like, one of my least favorite areas to furnish in homes are areas that are just like hallways, because I don't always know what to do with them. I mean, there's like basic decorations you put in them, like a table with a lamp and some other stuff on it, or like paintings and that kind of a thing, but I don't find them very interesting spaces to furnish, so I usually just want to get them over with, so I didn't really spend a whole lot of time on that one. But we're actually almost done with the bathroom that's up here. This came together super quickly, and I gotta say, like, since Parenthood came out, I feel like that upped my bathroom game a little bit, or like made me enjoy furnishing bathrooms so much more. Like, that pack was just like one of my favorite packs in terms of build items. Like, it just came with, like I've said this before, but it just came with so many useful items. More so just items that were in a style that I loved, because I don't really like a lot of the other tile wallpapers that we've got in this game, but the one from Parenthood is just perfect. So I just end up using it all the time, and I hope they come out with more that are like that, that are like tile up to like aren't, because like the problem I have with a lot of the tile wallpapers is that they're tiled the whole entire wall, and I don't really like that. I like the ones that are tiled partially up the wall, and we didn't have too many of those prior to Parenthood, so I'm just really glad they added that in, and I'm hoping for more that look a little bit better, because the ones we had prior, like the ones from the base game, weren't really that good looking. Like you had just white tiles with white wallpaper at the top, and it's just not that, I'm just not a huge fan of it. So yeah, I was really glad that they added that in. So anyway, we're on to the kids' room right now, and this was one that I had fun with. So it ends up with this blue, yellow, and orange color scheme. And that's just, of course, from the beds here, because I put those down and I was trying to use colors that went along with those, so you just didn't have like too many colors going on and it wasn't too annoying to look at. Because when I'm placing multiple kids' beds in a room, what I like to do is use the same headboard color and then use just different sheets within it, so it looks like they just bought like two of the same bed and then they have different sheets on the bed, so it's like customized to each kid. I just find that that looks better to me than going with like the different headboard type colors. So that is something that I try to do when I do these sorts of rooms, and those covers on those beds just go together so well because you have some orange in them that just ties together really nicely. So that is a combination that I've done before. And then like with the beds that came with Parenthood, there's some combinations with those that look really good. But this room just has a whole bunch of things crammed into it because unfortunately there wasn't really space anywhere else for a play area. So everything for these kids just had to be crammed into one space. So there's a little bit of juggling things around, trying to see where I could fit things in. And then I have that void critter battle station thing in the middle of the floor. But that unfortunately had to go because it was just way too crammed in with it in there, and I was just worried that there's going to be routing issues with Sims being able to get into the room, and I'm kind of worried about the desk where it is. But it should be fine. Like, Sims don't really need a ton of space to get through, so I think they should be able to move through that space there. But what ended up working was replacing the dresser with the taller wardrobe and shoving that into the corner, and then placing the dollhouse where the dresser was. So yeah, because that just ended up, because like the room was just looking a little off before then. I couldn't quite put my finger on it, but as soon as I made that change, I was much happier with it. So that room is done, and we are on to the teen room, which I really like. It just has this very bright, kind of springy look to me, which I love. And I mixed like using the brick with that blue wallpaper, and then we got green in a few spots, so it kind of goes with the bed. And then we got this painting here from City Living, which I almost forgot about it because after City Living are released, I use this painting a lot. But then this always happens where like as new packs come out, you kind of get new favorite items, and then, you know, eventually I remember, oh yeah, I used to like this item, and then I'll start using it again. So yeah, I rediscovered that item here, and I think I put it somewhere else in the house as well, like somewhere upstairs. Yeah, I think I did. Although I'm pretty sure later on I ended up replacing the painting in here because I realized that it was a little bit too close to the color of the wall, and I just wasn't really that happy with how that looks because I don't really like placing like something that's the same color as the wall like against the wall. You know, I like to have some different colors, you know, like not have like the same color against another color, which I think makes sense. But I'm just trying to figure out what to do with this corner here because I was a little stuck on what to do with that space because I ended up having to move the bed down a little bit so I could put the desk in there and then not have to worry as much about potential routing issues. So that just created this empty space on the left side of the bed that I was trying to figure out what to do with. But I ended up using this bookshelf from Seasons, sized down, and then just stuck some knickknacks on it, although I discovered that things unfortunately don't snap to the right spot when you size it down, so I had to like fill in all the slots, which as you can see are in really weird spots, and then raise up the decorations, which worked well. It was kind of nice because I was able to just fit in more interesting decorations here. We got like a cute little candle on it, so I really like how that looks. I could see this room working for a young adult or an older teen. I definitely see this as an older teen kind of a room for some reason. I don't know if it's because it has a little bit more of a put together vibe to me, or maybe it's just like the bed situation because it's kind of just in the middle of the room, and that's something I associate with like a young adult room or like an older teen room for whatever reason, I guess, because that's something you usually see in like parents' bedroom. I don't know what it is, but that's just kind of an association my mind makes. And I also stuck that lounge, like Chase lounge, in under the window, which I thought looked nice in there, because I was trying to figure out some kind of seat to put in the room, because I imagine that as a sim who likes to read a lot, and I just thought that worked super well in this room, because prior to that I was just trying out different things, didn't really like how anything looked. But we are on to the upper level now, which, as I said before, is just one large master suite. So we've got the bedroom off to one side, which is where the bed is, obviously. And then you have this bedroom that goes between, or this bathroom that goes between the bedroom and what is supposed to be like an office slash art studio, because there wasn't really space anywhere else in the house for an office, and I just wanted to have space where it was basically like the parents' workspace, or like their hobby space, and that kind of a deal. And it just, because of the narrow, like how narrow this house is, it just worked well to have it so you had the bathroom go between those two areas. But if you want to have a fourth bedroom in this house, it would work really well to turn that office area into another bedroom. Like, you can make it into a toddler bedroom, so that way they're really close to the toddler. It'll make it a little bit easier to take care of them. So yeah, that is something you could do if you're not really liking the whole study thing, and you could probably move the desk that I have in there into the bedroom, because there is definitely extra space that you could put a desk in the bedroom, because I ended up just making it not super furnished, because as I was doing it, I found that I liked the look of not cramming a ton of furniture into this room, because it definitely has a bit more of a modern vibe than the rest of the house, but I just like how they look. And I also did the mirror thing behind the bed, and I left those spaces apart because I like the look of there being some separation between the mirrors, rather than having it be like one whole sheet of mirror. And you can also see the light from the skylight on the bed, which is really beautiful. Like, I think it'll just really look cool to see the light as it moves during different times of the day. And I imagine it also will look really cool if you hit tab and go into camera mode and look up at it. I have yet to do that, but I'll definitely get some shots like that when I'm doing the whole fly through, because I still have to do that, and I'm just really looking forward to doing that with this house, just to see how it looks when you're looking up at those skylights in the bedroom and in the office area. But we're on to the bathroom now, and I just used the same flooring and wallpaper that I used in the one downstairs, which is something I end up doing a lot, kind of because I just don't really feel like coming up with a different wallpaper or floor combo. But I also kind of like the idea of having continuity between the bathrooms, because I think that is something that just happen in real life, where you do both bathrooms at the same time, you just kind of buy the same materials and use it in both. So I think it works in that way, and it just makes life a whole lot easier and saves some time. But I do like how this bathroom came out. There's nothing too spectacular about it. I mean, you got a bathtub, you got a shower, they're separate. That's kind of the gist of it. You got a toilet, that's important too. And yeah, that's pretty much it for this bathroom. So now we're on to the last room of the house, which, as I said, is more of a office slash studio area. So you have a desk, of course, and then there's also an easel with this paint splatter mat under it, because I imagine that one of the parents was really into painting, and then the other one, I don't know, maybe does like some kind of at-home work, or maybe they're like a successful author and this is where they write from. Ooh, like, I didn't even think about this while I was like actually building it, like what, because I figured one would be an artist, but I didn't really think about the other one would do. But I do like the idea of it being like an artist and like a best-selling author. But anyway, we're almost done with the building part of the video, so as usual, if you want to download this, there'll be a link to do so in the description, other stuff in there on how to find it in-game. And with that, I'm going to leave off here, so I hope you enjoy the rest of the video.